everyone, and welcome back to episode 54 of Bucs UK TV. It's another week, another victory. Tim was there. He'll tell us all about it. Graham's going to tease Tim on how much he did or didn't drink. But our newcomer this week is Tom. Welcome, Tom.
Hello.
So, Tom, you've been a Bucs UK member for some time. Maybe for those that don't know you from the forum, do you want to just give us a little intro on how you got into the Bucs?
So I think I'm Bucs UK. It was sort of during the lockdown. I think the first lockdown. It's been a couple of years now. I've been a Bucs fan for about 12 years. Got into the NFL when I was at uni. I watched the Super Bowl between the Steelers and the Cardinals. Was hooked from that moment. And I've been to Tampa more than I've been to anywhere else. So that was the team I chose, and stuck by them through thick and thin. A lot more.
Fantastic. It's paid off in the end.
Yeah, exactly.
I think if I had to watch the Cardinals and the Steelers, I'd support the Bucs too. So without any further ado, we will start talking about those dirty birds. Tim, you were there. Take us through it. I think you were about half the attendance in the stadium by the end.
Yeah, it's a magnificent stadium if you ever get a chance to go. But it's a typical Atlanta crowd. I've been there many times. And if their team are poor, they just don't turn up. They were probably 50% full, and a lot of Bucs fans were there. I've never seen so many Bucs fans at an Atlanta game. Even though they've got a big following, we were out in droves. It was great. And what a great performance to see as well.
That's right. There is a big Bucs following from the Atlanta when you tailgating, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The invasion. I think they've rebranded something, haven't they?
Yeah.
So Graeme, for those of us watching it back at Blighty, it was on at a reasonable hour at least, but it wasn't as straightforward as the score implies, was it?
I don't think so, but I don't think I ever felt in any danger. It's one of these in the new Tom Brady era. I think there's there are a lot less heart attacks going on in the Bucs UK membership during these games. Certainly, I think apart from that one ridiculous pass attempt with about 30 seconds to go in the first half that ended up in an interception. You know, that was the one dumb play, I think, and if not for that, I think the scoreline would have been far more appropriate. I thought we were well ahead of them. I thought we were the better team on most fronts, despite the fact that they did go about 65 yards rushing in their first drive. But once we got to grips with that, I don't think it was ever in doubt.
I think that's a good point. So you mentioned the Brady interception, so we'll stick with that and talk about the offense first. Tom, does Brady get a bye for that, a pass?
Yeah, I think he's done enough for us over the last 2 years or a year and a half. As Graeme said, it was kind of the one dodgy play really. Other than that, it looked comfortable, especially on offense. We were moving the ball really easily. Didn't really have to get the run game going at all. Godwin was just catching balls for fun. So we could move the ball down the field pretty easily. So yeah, I think he gets a pass for that one. It's Brady.
That was a Bucs record, wasn't it? 15 catches by a receiver in a game. So he's setting some records.
Yeah, he certainly was. You know, Godwin was listed as wide receiver. My thought on him, he was a wide receiver running back, because if you look at most of his catches, I think about 10 of them were almost wide receiver screens, all caught at the line of scrimmage. But yeah, he was superb. And like Tom said, Tom Brady will get a pass on anything for me. That was the aliens having to go at the Falcons and really want to put the foot down on the throat and really put the game away at halftime. Just slightly backfired, but we were always comfortable. The atmosphere there was extremely quiet throughout the game as we dominated. Our drives. We drove the first drive 13 plays, 75 yards, killed what bit of crowd noise there was. And that just carried on throughout the game. So, like Graeme, I was always confident, even though it got close.
I really like that analogy of calling him sort of wide receiver / running back, because the other thing I was going to sort of maybe ask you, Tom, was kind of the running game. It felt like it was the Lenny show, but no Gio. Maybe he was returning kicks. Rojo got one carry. I mean, it
Even
just seemed
Godwin
like,
got a carry, didn't he? Godwin
yeah,
took a
Yeah,
carry.
on the exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a funny one because I think even like Fournette didn't carry the ball that much. He was catching the ball a lot. I mean, his sort of pass game has come on so much since he's come to the Bucs. I think it was a big criticism of his, obviously like the Jags, that he wasn't sort of there when they needed him in the catching game. So yeah, he's come on a long way, and I think he's proven now how important he is, which is why Rojo's only getting one carry, which is not what we expected at the start of the season. I think.
Yeah,
Does concern me, I think, though, that they've got a 44-year-old quarterback throwing the ball 50 times in the game. And I think it probably sums up the confidence in the pass protection, which is absolutely sensational this season. Never been better. And if not for that, I think they wouldn't let Brady pass as often.
Yeah, I would agree
that.
Yeah, the offensive line has played superb. There was one pressure during the whole game and one hold by Donovan Smith on a running play. That was the only errors that were made by that offensive line. And you can say that virtually week in, week out for them.
How sort of smiling do you think Brady was when he saw that the Patriots only decided to throw it 3 times this week without him?
Yeah. Yeah, I think 40-mile-an-hour winds affected that somehow.
Potato. So kind of Tom, man of the match then for the O side of the ball.
Godwin, it has to be.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
I will throw somebody else in there who is Gronk. We got to realize how we've got to look after him a little bit as well. There's a lot of miles on the clock there, but his presence within that team is immense. And so I would also have Gronk. Godwin was fantastic, but also Mike Evans come up with 2 or 3 big plays just when we needed them. And we had Godwin, Gronk, Fournette, and then you throw in future Hall of Famer Mike Evans into the mix. Cam Braid. There's still so much going on. Still not hearing anything of OJ Howard, which is still my big disappointment in this offense.
He was a bit like the invisible man, wasn't he? Graeme,
yeah.
Who are you going to go then? Tim's giving you some choices. Tom thinks it's Godwin.
Yeah, it can't be anyone other than Godwin. He's broken a team record there. Just phenomenal play. Plus his run for whatever it was, 7 or 8 yards. You can't take it away from him. As good as Brady was, as good as the offensive line were, I liked seeing Carlton Davis back. He looked good. But no, Godwin for me definitely stood out. Fantastic. I did. Talking about Gronkowski, I noticed, and talking about the number of times he's been hit, he took a bit of a slide, foot first slide to avoid a hit at one point. I thought that's him thinking, these ribs aren't healed just quite yet.
That was definitely a tactical decision, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, quite right too.
You mentioned CD actually, so let's move to the defensive side of the ball. And I can't remember, was it Graeme or Tim? It was probably you, Tom, but one of the other guys mentioned how kind of, after the first drive versus before the first drive, seems like a switch was flicked. What was the spark on D? What really won it for us?
I think the way lots of different players stepped up. And like Pierre Desir came in and forced a fumble. Cam Gill got a sack. Even that, like Andrew Adams coming in and looking solid. I think second half we really stepped up on D, and players were just stepping up, and we just made it really, really difficult for them. We got pressure on the quarterback, and I think once we started doing that, it was really, really comfortable. It almost was like the Brady interception woke everyone up. We came out second half ready to go, and it was just really professional second half. Really, we made it look fairly easy, even though it had the potential to go the wrong way, I think.
I love that. Welcome to Bucs UK, where a pick 6 is a positive because it stokes up the defensive side of the ball.
I will bring one negative into the conversation on our defense. Yet again, it's my pet hate with the Bucs defense is missed first tackles. And again, on Sunday, if you looked at the first drive with Cordell Patterson, Antoine Winfield, a short tackler, flat-footed. Couple of times that happened during the game. We're not hitting that first man early. So that's my pet hate. But I want to mention a couple of other people, which is the middle of the defensive line. Vaya, Sue will get the headlines for 4 of the 5 sacks. But you should have seen the play William Golston, who was right in the backfield on virtually every play. And he only rushed on about 10, 12 plays. But 3 times he just was in a split second behind, hitting that quarterback right in the face. And he is much underrated in that team as well.
I think that's a good point. So, I mean, Graeme, both the other guys are talking about the depth and the way that the whole team's risen up. It feels like we're striking gear at the right time. Is this a blip or a resurgence?
I think it's deja vu all over again, as they say, from last year. I just think we're starting to get the injured players back, starting to show a little bit of domination both sides of the ball. But I think we'll pick it up from here on in. I'm sure we will. What I liked this weekend was the sacks on third down, getting the pressure on third down and getting them off the field. We haven't really been doing that an awful lot. We've been letting teams drive on us far too long, but I think we did 2 or 3 of the sacks, I think, came on third down. Really good to see that. Really good to see that. That's what we need. And Vita Vea, sack machine, fantastic. He deserves it because, I mean, some of his, he's moved, 350-pound guys 10 yards into the backfield this season on multiple occasions. He's been absolutely fantastic. So it's good to see him get the numbers up, which he deserves, the odd sack here and there. I know he's not in there to sack, but nice to see him getting a little bit of recognition there as well.
Yeah, and the commentators, I think, drew attention to that. I think that's a good point, well made. Yeah. So let's close out our review then with Kieron's favourite part of the scheme. It's the special teams. Now, Tom, tell me, what's your grade for special teams then? What's the report card looking like?
We made no mistakes. Didn't do anything particularly special. I think it's kind of the sort of the standard with our special teams to some degree. It's kind of,
we call it ordinary teams from now on. Then.
Yeah, yeah. We don't seem to ever return anything big, but we don't necessarily make too many mistakes. So I think they're doing what we need to do really to make sure that we keep the ball and then the offense get it and they can move the ball pretty easily. So yeah.
Tim, any excitement in the stadium at any point for us threatening to return it more than 3 yards?
Never. I'd like to say yes. Gio had 1 go, I think it was, and he didn't look comfortable with that return. Actually,
there's one where he caught it, decided to sit down and make a cup of tea. Think about having a run. Wasn't quite sure, then decided to move.
Yeah, Tom made a good point. Our special teams is just to safely catch the ball, get the offense back on the field. Until we get the likes of Darden potentially back, we're not going to look to return any kicks of any description. So, our ordinary teams, I think now is a real good term for them, or a setup play.
Yeah. I mean, Graeme, everyone else has forgotten about the missed PAT. You can rest
assured
I haven't.
I've got the word written down here, doink. No, doink off the post. It's becoming, that sound is becoming a bit of a constant in our lives these days. I think that's one in the last 2 or 3 games we've had, which is disappointing.
I want someone in the Bucs locker room to set it as the ringtone for Suckup's phone. So every time we get a text message, you go doink, doink.
Yeah, I've given special teams a C, and that's me being nice. I think it's just as everyone says, we just seem to need a spark from somewhere. Returns are just like Tim, but like you guys were describing, Gio. It's so tentative. There's no kind of explosive, attempt at getting the ball back. I don't know. It's all very strange. But at the end of the day, if the less mistakes are being made, then that's fine. It gets the ball in play. It gets us in half decent field position. That we're not backing ourselves up by making mistakes. So I guess that's a blessing.
I think you're right. It's field position, isn't it? Because my worry is, we'll talk about the Bills. We shouldn't look ahead more than 1 game. But if you're thinking about the playoffs and you're thinking about, the NFC is shaping up, isn't it, Tom, to be the wrong side of the bracket to be in. And I just think, it's going to be a difference maker, isn't it?
Yeah, I think as Tim said, I think if we can get someone like Darden back who has got that spark, it will be really, really important. Because if we can get the field position and make it easier for for our offense, then we'll score more points. It's that simple. I think we're going to have to get players, someone like Darden to spark that side of the ball, though.
And that will provide that lift for that team and the crowd, because we don't do it. We're expecting that Brady is going to run the length of the field, not run the length of the field, but drive us to the length of the field.
Get down, get down.
He'd have a nosebleed after 10 yards.
Yeah, it could take him half an hour to get to the other end. But, we can provide that spark within the crowd as well. That will get them lifted within the game. We are just very expecting our offense and defense are going to do the job.
Yeah,
so
of course. And of course, we're hoping it's a home crowd because so far undefeated at home. That's another thing that's not happening in Tampa for a long while.
Yeah,
that'll be massive on the run in.
So as I said earlier, the forum was busy, and we got some comments that came through from our members. Starting off with Steve Gargett, wouldn't swap Evans and Godwin for any other pair of wide receivers. Absolutely right. Kevin Lyle, cracking result and no high blood pressure this week. As you guys said, it was it's nice to have a relaxing game once in a while. Lee Morgan, we managed the game really well, to be fair. One moment of absolute madness. I think that's the pick six, but overall good. And then lastly from Stu, few more empty seats at the end, but there were loads at the beginning too. They knew before the game started that it wasn't going to be their day. I think there's an element of that. I think I was looking at the Atlanta Falcons UK fan club, who are great guys, and we get on really well and have lots of fun with them. None of them predicted a win. So I think this definitely seemed to be exactly what we expected it to be. However, the team that we care about most is the Buffalo Bills, and so that's what we'll come on to. Obviously, at this point, we say thank you to Bucs Report for all their help that they do in promoting our podcast. It's nice to be associated with those guys. They're good fun on social media. Follow them, follow us, like, subscribe, bell, all of the stuff that Alex says, all the cool kids do these days. So be a part of it, please. And if you're in the UK and you're not a Bucs fan, if you're in the UK and you are a Bucs fan but not a member, why on earth not? Head over to bucsuk.org and click on join and change that right away. There's some good prize competitions coming up this week on the forum, so click on there and join and sign up and get involved. And on the game day threads as well. We'd love to have you part of the chat. So Tom, let's look ahead then to the Bills game. Just very high level, kind of what do you think is going to spin on? Because it feels like it depends which Bills team's going to turn up, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think I said last when I was on the fighting squawk, I've got a friend who is a big Bills fan, and I get no end of grief from him over the years. But yeah, that's what we've kind of been saying this year, that it's been very much a sort of Jekyll and Hyde with them. They sometimes look really, really strong. Other times, like last night, look absolutely awful. I think for what's going to be really important is stopping Josh Allen getting out of the pocket. He can make things happen. If he starts running the ball, which he can do, and we have, as good as we are against the run, sometimes running quarterbacks can cause us a slight issue. They can get a bit of room. So I think we need to stop him. If we can stop him, they become a bit one-dimensional because the rest of their running game isn't as strong. Then it will just be kind of stop Diggs from getting free. So I think that's gonna be really key. Just stop him being able to run around, stop him being able to give them different options, and make them a bit one-dimensional, really. And
there's been some earlier sort of games in the season where we haven't done quite as well as we should have done at containing the QB, have we?
Yeah, I think that's been a slight issue. They're obviously weakened on defense at the moment with Tre'Davious White being out. So if we can stop their offense, I think we'll find it a bit easier than maybe we could have done in the past if they'd had White available.
Okay, so Tom says he's laser locked in on Josh Allen. Graeme, what's your sort of key to the game overall schematically?
Yeah, you're as well moving on to Tim, because I'm just going to say the same. That's definitely the one for me. I have fits when we play against these type of quarterbacks. That if I'm sitting in the same room as my wife, she just sits and shakes her head at me. I'm bouncing off the walls, throwing my laptop up in the air because we can't pull these guys down. So yeah, I think he is dangerous. I mean, if you look at the rankings, I mean, they're really highly ranked, top 5 in all the major offensive and defensive categories. So dangerous team. We knew that at the start of the season, and I think these 3 defeats in the last kind of 5 weeks or so has been a big surprise for everyone. But the fact that they weren't really able to stop the run, I think last night maybe gives us a little bit of hope that maybe, if we can get the run game going, that we open up the pass for our 50 attempts from Tom Brady this week. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm very much a big fan of Josh Allen. I think he's a tremendous quarterback, and he's going to be a real handful for us. Okay. We're relying on the linebackers, I think, to pick him up. The D-line guys are in trying to stop the run, but I think the linebackers are, and they're fast enough, they're savvy enough. They know they're looking for him. So hopefully these guys will pick him up and tie him down.
All right, Tim. I mean, so both Tom and Graeme have picked up Josh Allen as a runner, but I mean, as a thrower, the thing I would draw my attention to is I think they've got an exceptional, other than the Bucs, set of receivers. I think they're really underrated. I mean, yeah, everyone's known of Cole Beasley and Stephon Diggs, but I think Emmanuel Sanders is good. The running backs out of the backfield are good at catching it. I think it's a good offense.
It is a good offense, and Josh Allen, as the boys have said, is quite rightly the player we got to target. But he can be erratic when he's throwing that ball. He throws it really hard over a short space of time, and these guys are not always in position for it. I agree. Diggs is a quality player who we'll have to watch. But might keep the game is Josh Allen when he sat on the sidelines. Yeah, last Sunday we had 13 play drives, 6 play, 9 play, 14 plays, all touchdowns. Josh Allen cannot beat you when he sat on his backside on the bench. And that to me is the key part of the game, is time of possession for us. Because I picked this at the start of the year as one of the 2 real tough games I thought we had. The Rams and this game were the 2 I targeted as really challenging. So we get in the Bills at a good time, I believe, at this moment.
That's a really good point. And Tom, how do you think our offense then shapes up against that D? I mean, can in the air vested interest. Buffalo is my starting D on fantasy football. I think they're a great team defense. But when I look down the list roster, so I don't necessarily get that scared.
Yeah, I think with White being out is huge. He's an exceptional cornerback. I think Poyer's been doing all right this season. He's got a fair few interceptions. It's going to be kind of keep the ball away from him as much as possible. Don't give him any opportunities to try and pick one off. But yeah, I think our receivers are strong enough, and we've got so many different options, so many different weapons. I think we're gonna be too much for them on D. They're a good defense, but I think we're an exceptional offense, and I think we're just going to have too much.
Graeme, do you think we can drive it on these guys?
Definitely, yeah. I think just as Tom said, really good. We've got the run game if we need it. We've got the pass game if we need it. And if you're going to rely on an offensive line, then this is the offensive line to rely on. And I'm really happy with the way that the offense is working just now. So, yeah, if it comes to a shootout, I'd fancy Tom Brady every time.
Mm-hmm. And Tom Brady's 32-3 against the Bills all time.
Yeah.
What more do we need to do? Well,
time to put your money where your mouth is then, Tim. What's the scoreboard going to look like when we tick down to 0?
It's going to be another Bucs win, and 27-17.
Well, that's a good, nice, health. 10 points. We like, Graeme.
I've got 31-27 for the Bucs, so a little bit closer, but I think we'll get our noses in front and stay there.
Tom?
I've got 34-24, so similar sort of difference as Tim, but a few more points to the board.
See, I was umming and ahhing about the scoring till I remembered that the game's in Tampa, and because we're on, and this is the luck of Brady in the schedule. Can you imagine if we were going to Buffalo in December? Brrr. But no, I 35 something, not very high. I think 14. I give them maybe. I think it's going to be brilliant. I think it's going to be. I think the wrong team's going to show up. I think their defense is going to struggle to keep pace with us. There's too many people to mark, and I think we'll do that bend but don't break things. So hopefully you agree with all of us. Clearly, we are far from partial. We realise that. So let us know in the comments what you think, and we look forward to seeing you next time. So thank you, Tim. Thank you, Graeme. Thank you, Tom.
No problem.
And all together now, go Bucs!
Go back.
Go Bucs!